Hey folks, I'm forewarned meteorologist Paul Hagen here with another update on the potential for ice and snow and all sorts of other fun stuff as we head into tonight and tomorrow. Going to get into the details on that in a second, but first let's get you ready for what you're anticipating as you're heading out the door again today. Temperatures are going to be cold throughout the entire day. We started off in the teens this morning, only warming up to the low to mid 20s and then to the upper 20s for highs this afternoon. If you're real lucky, you may crack the low 30s in southwestern Middle Tennessee, but the wind chill, something to contend with. Started off with single digits again. Those wind chills may be improving to the low 20s as we head into the afternoon, but it is going to be another cold day overall. Of course, all that just sets the stage for the potential of wintry precipitation moving in from the west and northwest tonight, and that is likely why you are here, to get an update on that. So we're going to run through the different scenarios that are possible and what I think is the most likely scenario in terms of how things shape up, and we'll get into some of the reasons why as well. Here's what to expect overall, though. The snow moves in after midnight tonight, mixed with some sleet to the south of Interstate 40. That snow-sleet dividing line is going to move north and northeast by Wednesday morning, so we're going to see changeovers from snow to sleet and freezing rain. Mostly snow in southern Kentucky and northeastern Middle Tennessee. It's where we anticipate the heaviest accumulations. Metro Nashville, around an inch of snow, but snow adds up quickly, so that could easily go up to 2 inches or just be a half inch of snow accumulation, but mixed in with sleet and freezing rain as well. So regardless of specifically what it is, it does look like the Wednesday morning commute is going to be a mess. Quick refresher on the differences of their types of precipitation. Snow, when it's cold all the way from the cloud up to the ground, that's when snow falls. When there's warm air that in abundance, that snow melts to rain and it falls at rain. Freezing rain and sleet, it's when you get a little layer of warm air trapped in between cold air at cloud level and cold air at ground level, and whether or not it refreezes into sleet pellets or falls into freezing rain that just sticks as a glaze depends on how thick that layer of warm air is above and how thick or thin the layer of cold air is near the ground. And that's going to be a relevant part of the forecast for tomorrow. For today, just a gradual increase in clouds. Wouldn't be surprised to see a flurry or two maybe flying out of those clouds, but the bulk of the snow, there it is, off to our northwest this evening. This is our in-house RPM computer model, and if you're a snow enthusiast, this is the one that you are rooting for because it is quite a bit more bullish on our snow potential. And if you don't remember the bull and bear analogy, the bull market is when it's going up, bear market is when it's going down. So this is the one that is really snow friendly. See it knocking on our doorstep by midnight. I think that's a reasonable scenario. I think this computer model has that snow and sleet freezing rain dividing line drawn a little bit too far to the south and southwest, but it does produce a quick changeover in Metro Nashville from snow to sleet and freezing rain, then back to a period of snow to cold rain in southern and southwestern Middle Tennessee. And look at this at 10 a.m. This is what makes my hairline retreat like Napoleon out of Moscow, because look at Davidson County. We have rain, sleet and freezing rain, and then some intense snow in northern Davidson County alone. That transition is a very sharp one, and it's what makes these winter weather scenarios so complicated. That all advances farther off to the east and gets out of here. Within this computer model, I buy the timing, moving in after midnight tonight. I buy the intensity of the precipitation, but I just don't think it's quite resolving the layers of warm air in the atmosphere well enough to give us a great handle on exactly how much snow is going to fall. This is what this particular computer model is estimating in terms of total snowfall, puts Nashville within that 2 to 4 inch range. I think that's a little bit too high. Is it possible? Sure, it's absolutely possible because, again, we're going to be right in that dividing line. You see, it does produce some 4 to 6 inch amounts farther off to the northwest and northwestern Middle Tennessee and up into southern Kentucky and a little bit along the Cumberland Plateau as well. So, again, you can file this away under possible, but I don't think it's the most likely scenario in terms of the icy accumulations under that computer model's version of what's going to happen. See where the ice adds up in areas south and southwest of where the heaviest snow is going to accumulate, but it's still less than a 1/4 inch of ice. That's enough to cause problems on bridges and overpasses. It's not enough, in all likelihood, to cause any tree branches, power lines to really get weighed down with significant amounts of ice that would cause any power outages that we need to worry about. We'll keep an eye on that part of the forecast. So why don't I buy into that computer model's version of what's going to happen? Because I don't think it has that great handle on how much warm air is going to be moving in just above ground level to produce that changeover from snow to sleet and freezing rain, and then back to snow for a little while, and then back to sleet and freezing rain. Here's a look at what we're talking about here from a different computer model, the atmospheric profile forecast. And what you're looking at, let me move the cursor here, right there, that little kink in the red and green lines is a very narrow little area of above freezing temperatures above ground level, and then a significantly thick area, almost about a half a kilometer, maybe a kilometer deep, of sub-freezing temperatures near the ground. That's a sleet profile, and I think this computer model, even though it's a bit warmer, is underdoing that warm air. It's one of the faults of the computers is sometimes they just don't latch onto that particular pattern. So if it just gets a little bit warmer above ground level, then this becomes almost completely a sleet event rather than seeing any snow, especially for Nashville. Farther to the north, you're looking pretty locked into more snow, especially as you head up into southern Kentucky and into southern Kentucky and northeastern Middle Tennessee. Here's how a different computer model, this is the North American model's 4-kilometer version, simulates it, and it's got a warmer solution. So you see this is 6 a.m. on Wednesday. It has snow in southern Kentucky, northern Middle Tennessee, a little bit of sleet around Nashville, and then a larger area of freezing rain to the west and southwest of that. Changes back over to snow in Nashville as the freezing rain moves farther to the east. Everything's pretty much out of here as we head into the afternoon hours on Wednesday. Its snow accumulation forecast looks a little bit curious considering it doesn't have really as much snow. It shows 2 inches of accumulation for Nashville itself. That's because it's adding up the snow and the sleet together to produce that 2-inch amount. So that throws off the numbers a little bit. I do not anticipate that much to actually develop. What a more likely scenario looks like is from the Storm Prediction Center's ensemble forecast. So this is just taking a bunch of models and putting them all together and seeing what kind of consensus they arrive at. And I've put the interstates on here so you can get a little better sense of perspective. We don't get a local or a regional map here from this model's output, but along and north of I-40, it's where you have the best chance of picking up around an inch of snow. That 2-inch line just barely crosses into northern Middle Tennessee, then you go up to a 3-inch line in southern Kentucky, and then you get some higher amounts as you head farther up outside of the Channel 4 viewing area into Kentucky. Now, this data isn't perfect, and it does change from run to run. In fact, we can watch it change from run to run. I'm going to step through and show you how that snapshot of time has changed as this model has done its work over the past several days. You can see with every batch of new data, it moves those heavier snow accumulations just a little bit farther south and south. And we still have about 18 hours to go as I'm recording this before that precipitation moves into the mid-state. So if that trend continues, then we could have to adjust those amounts just a little bit farther to the south as well, which would mean more snow for Metro Nashville. This computer model does estimate a significant chance, though, of freezing rain, about a 50% chance of at least getting 5/100ths of an inch of freezing rain, which is, again, not enough to add up on trees and power lines, cause widespread power outages, but it is enough to cause certainly some slick conditions on the bridges and overpasses. Looking at just the raw data, these little lines are all the different versions of that model, and you can see how much snow they add up. One of them adds up over 6 inches of snow for Nashville. Doubtful. That's a significant outlier. The mean, the average of all these adds up to around an inch of snow for Nashville, and that's pretty much where I've put our forecast as well. When I've kind of smoothed all the data, this is my version of what I expect to happen. And just look at the pattern first. Those brighter colors in southern Kentucky and northern Middle Tennessee, where we expect more snow to accumulate. 3+ inches of snow, certainly possible in the northern halves of our counties in southern Kentucky. Metro Nashville right on that dividing line between around an inch to maybe up to 2 inches of accumulation. The farther north you go, those 2 to 3 inch amounts more likely in the higher terrain along the eastern Highland Rim and the Cumberland Plateau. You go farther south, I don't think you get out of this with 0 wintry precipitation, but I do think you'll see limited snow with maybe 1/10 of an inch of ice on top of that. So advisories, winter weather advisory in effect for most of the mid-state, a winter storm watch posted for southern Kentucky. That's in effect for tonight and tomorrow. To kind of sum up what we know with this system, and I will get to what we expect out of the next one, heavier snow north, more ice and cold rain the farther south you go, but exactly where the dividing line sets up is a significant wild card. All this storm system has to do is change a little bit, and those boundaries that we drew on the map are going to change quite a bit as well. The Wednesday morning commute allows some extra time. School delays and cancellations, a distinct possibility, and there's still more data to come. Something unexpected will happen with the forecast because that's almost always what happens with these winter weather scenarios. So on the panicometer, we'll just set it to allow extra time. There's never any reason to panic about this kind of stuff. And with temperatures going above freezing tomorrow afternoon once the precipitation ends, you don't need to stock up on perishable food items or anything like that. A quick check of the 7-day forecast here to show you that there is another chance for more wintry precipitation. It's going to be cold rain late Thursday into Thursday night. Could get a change over to snow on Friday if the temperatures drop fast enough, and that is what the European forecast model anticipates. This is almost pure fantasy with the amounts that it is forecasting. I'll put the big unlikely stamp on that because this is pretty much for entertainment purposes only. It's possible that we'll get a lot of snow in the Friday and Friday night time frame, but it's just way too far off at this point. We'll have to keep an eye on that time frame as well, though, and just kind of put in the back of your mind that the forecast for that is still significantly up in the air, and we will keep you posted on all of this here on social media and, of course, on Channel 4.